the proposal that shocked the stars. The Grand Hall of Stars was full of lights, music, and voices from every corner of the galaxy. Ambassadors, royals, warriors, and scientists had gathered on the planet Velnara for a rare event, the Intergalactic Peace Summit. Flags from 72 worlds floated in the air, and the smell of alien food filled the space. In the center of the hall stood Princess Zelari, the youngest daughter of the Velnaran royal family. She wore a glowing gown made of living fabric that shimmered with her emotions. Her violet eyes scanned the room, stopping at one man, the only human here. Jason Hale, Earth's lead ambassador, stood calmly at the edge of the crowd. He wasn't like the other humans who came before. He was confident but respectful, strong but kind. Since the summit began, he had become popular not only among humans, but among aliens too, especially Zelari. For weeks, they had shared small conversations, silent looks, moments that said more than words ever could. But tonight something unexpected was about to happen. As the music stopped and the lights dimmed, Jason stepped forward. All eyes turned toward him. He walked to the royal family's dais, where Zelari and her 3 sisters sat beside their mother, Queen Velari. The crowd fell silent. Even the floating lights paused mid-air. Jason looked directly at Princess Zelari. Then, without fear, he dropped to one knee. "Princess Zelari of Velnara," he said, his voice strong and clear. "I know this summit is about peace between galaxies, but I come with a second wish, a personal one. I wish to ask for your hand in marriage." Gasps echoed through the hall. One of the bird-like delegates dropped his glass. A reptilian diplomat growled in disbelief. The queen blinked, but it was Zelari's reaction that shocked everyone most. She smiled. Her glowing dress turned soft pink, a Velnaran sign of joy. Her lips trembled. She opened her mouth to reply. Before she could speak, a sharp voice interrupted. "You can't just marry one of us, human." Everyone turned to see Zelari's oldest sister, General Velasha, rising from her seat. Her armor gleamed under the lights. Her face was serious. Jason stood up slowly. "I'm sorry?" Velasha stepped forward. "You asked for one, princess, but we are a bonded royal line. A marriage to one is a marriage to all." The second sister, High Scholar Valana, adjusted her silver headpiece and added, "It is Velnaran tradition. A suitor must accept all sisters, or none at all." The youngest Ilari said nothing, but she looked at Jason with wide, unreadable eyes. Zelari looked nervous now. "Jason, I wanted to tell you I truly did, but..." Jason raised a hand gently. "So if I want to marry you, I must also marry your sisters?" Velasha nodded firmly. "Yes, we share our destiny. We rule together. We love together. We do not divide." The crowd murmured again. Some laughed. Some looked shocked. Others whispered that this was madness. Jason took a deep breath. He looked at each sister, the strong warrior Velasha, the cold-minded Velana, and the quiet, strange Ilari. "I came here to offer peace," he said, "but I also came here because I fell in love with one of you." He looked at Zelari. "Only you." Zelari's eyes glistened, but her smile faded. "If you reject the others," she whispered, "our planet will reject you. The treaty may fall. Our mother will be forced to cancel the peace." Jason turned toward the queen. "Is this true?" Queen Velari stood slowly. Her voice was calm, but final. "Yes. You may not marry one without the others. It is the way of Velnara. It is the way of our future." Jason looked around. The pressure of an entire galaxy was on his shoulders. Suddenly, the warrior sister Velasha stepped closer. "Don't worry, human. If you are brave enough, you may survive the trials. If not, well, no shame in failure." Jason looked back at Zelari, then at her sisters, then at the sea of watching aliens. "I won't give an answer now," he said at last. "Not until I know more. Not until I understand what this truly means." The queen nodded. Then you will begin the trials tomorrow." As Jason walked away from the center of the hall, the lights returned and the music started again. But nothing felt the same. The galaxy had come for peace. But now, everyone was watching to see if one human would marry not just one alien princess, but all four. Jason Hale couldn't sleep. He stood at the window of his guest quarters in the Velnaran Royal Palace, looking out at the twin moons glowing above, the pink skies. Somewhere out there, millions were waiting for his decision. He came for peace talks, but now he was caught in something far stranger. A royal marriage, with 4 alien sisters. He had expected culture differences, maybe even danger. But this was madness. A soft beep echoed in the room. The door slid open. 4 royal guards in golden armor stood outside. "The princesses request your presence," one said. Jason followed them through glowing corridors until they reached a private chamber filled with floating candles and deep-colored mist. The room had no walls, just shimmering energy fields, showing stars in every direction. Inside waited the 3 sisters. Princess Zalari wasn't there, only her sisters. Valasha, the eldest and a general of their armies, stood like a statue. Valana, the scholar, sat with scrolls and blinking crystals. Ilari, the quietest, floated cross-legged in the air, eyes closed, glowing softly. Valasha spoke first. "You seek one of us, but if you want her, you must earn us." Jason blinked. "Earn you?" Valana's voice was colder. "Our people must see you as worthy. You will face 3 trials, 1 from each of us." "And if I fail?" Jason asked. "You will return to Earth." "Alone," said Valasha. "And the treaty will burn with you." Jason clenched his fists. "Then explain your trials." "I'll face them." Valasha walked forward. "My trial is strength, combat, in our battle arena. No weapons, no tricks. Just you against me." Jason's eyes widened. "You want me to fight you?" She smirked. "If you fear pain, you're not fit for our sister." Valana stood now, adjusting her silver robes. "My trial is intellect. I will place you inside the mind core. It will show you 100 problems, military, political, moral. You must solve them. If you break under pressure, you are weak." Jason turned to Ilari, the youngest. She hadn't opened her eyes. She simply whispered, "My trial is empathy. You will feel what others feel. You will see what she hides. If your heart fails, you will not survive it." Jason felt a chill. This wasn't a game. This was deeper than diplomacy. "You really want me to marry all of you?" he asked carefully. Valasha stepped close. Her breath smelled like fire. "We don't want you, human. We test you to see if you are worthy of her," Valana added. "And if by some miracle you are worthy of us too, then you must take responsibility." Jason looked down. "What if I love only Zalari?" Now Ilari opened her eyes. They were glowing like stars. "Love is not divided on Velnara. If you join our bond, your heart must grow to hold us all." Jason took a deep breath. He had trained for war. He had studied peace. But nothing had prepared him for this. "Fine," he said. "I accept your trials. All of them." Valasha grinned. "Good. Tomorrow, you bleed." Valana nodded. "The next day, you think?" Ilari whispered. "And on the final day, you will feel." As he turned to leave, Valasha called out, "One more thing, human." Jason looked back. She smiled with sharp teeth. "If you win us, we won't just be your wives. We will be your generals, your council, your queens." Jason walked away slowly, the words echoing in his ears. He had 3 days, 3 sisters, 3 trials, and 1 impossible decision to make. Jason stood in the center of a giant glowing cube. There were no walls, no floor, only light and fog. The platform under his feet hovered high above a bottomless void. Princess Valana's voice echoed around him, calm, cold, precise. "This Is the mind core human? A test of logic, pressure, and moral decisions. Fail, and you fall. Jason took a deep breath. How does it work? Valana's form appeared in the air. Just her face, made of flickering data. You will face 10 simulations. Military, political, ethical, each with one goal: survival, without corruption. If you cheat, lie, or break balance, you lose, Jason nodded. And if I pass? Her eyes narrowed. Then I will believe your brain is not as soft as your world. Suddenly the cube flashed red. The first test began. Simulation 1. War diplomacy. Jason stood inside a council chamber. Alien leaders shouted over one another. 2 species were at war. He had 10 seconds to choose who Earth would support. He scanned the data flashing in front of him. One species was honest but weak. The other was strong but had betrayed allies before. He made his call. Support the weak, but train them secretly. The simulation ended. Pass. Simulation 2. Famine on a colony. Food was low. Only one ship could carry supplies. A planet of children needed help. Another held scientists working on a cure for galactic cancer. Jason paused, then made his voice firm. Send half now to the children, half later to the lab. Delay both, save both. Pass. Simulation. 3. The impossible choice. Jason now stood in front of 2 cages. In one, Silari screamed for help. In the other, Earth's president begged for mercy. A bomb would explode in 10 seconds. Save one, only one. Jason stared at both. Then he threw himself into the middle, covering the bomb. It exploded. The simulation ended. Pass. Valana's digital face frowned. You sacrificed yourself? Jason shrugged. That's what leaders do. Simulation 4 to 8. Each test was harder. He faced betrayal, false data, a clone of himself lying to the court, and even temptation from a digital version of Valasha. Jason never cheated. He stayed calm, even when the lights turned dark red and time ran out. Simulation 9, the virus, Jason, stood in front of a computer screen. A virus had infected the galaxy's main communication system. He could stop it, but only by erasing one planet's history, forever. Jason froze. Erase the virus, the prompt said. But at what cost? He changed the code instead. Slower, harder, but history stayed safe. The system blinked. Past Valana's voice returned. Interesting. You care for memory. Simulation 10. The twist. Jason now stood in a blank white space. Suddenly Valana herself appeared, physically this time, not as light. This is the final trial, she said. But it's not a simulation, this is real. She held out a glowing cube. Inside is my personal diary, my secrets, my mind. If you open it, you pass. But I will never trust you again. Ever. Jason stared at the cube. Power, knowledge, everything about Valana. He looked her in the eye and handed it back. I want to earn your trust, not steal it. Valana blinked. For the first time, she smiled. You pass. Jason exited the mind core chamber. Sweat dripped from his brow. His heart pounded, but his head was high. Valana stood waiting, holding her silver staff. You did not impress me with answers, human. You impressed me with restraint. Jason nodded. So, do I have your approval? She turned away. Not yet, but now. I respect you. As Jason walked out, he whispered to himself. 2 down. 1 to go. But deep inside, he wondered, if the first trial tested his body, and this tested his mind, what would happen when Ilari tested his soul? The arena roared like thunder. 10,000 Velnarans sat in circular stands above a shining battle ring. Above them floated drones, cameras, and war banners. Jason stood at the center of the ring, shirtless, barefoot, unarmed. His opponent? Valasha, the firstborn, the general, the undefeated war champion of Velnara. She stood across from him, muscles tight, armor shining, holding a spear carved from the bones of a space leviathan. The crowd began to chant, "Trial of strength, trial of strength." Jason swallowed. So, I guess we're really doing this. Valasha stepped forward, her voice like steel scraping rock. No weapons, no help. Just you and me. Win and I'll respect you. Lose and crawl back to Earth. Jason didn't reply. He raised his fists, took a deep breath, and remembered the martial training he had received back on Earth. But this was no Earth fight. This was Velnaran tradition, and death was allowed. The gong rang. Valasha moved first, fast, brutal, like lightning in armor. Her spear came down in a flash. Jason ducked just in time and rolled aside. The crowd cheered. She came again. A kick this time. He blocked it, but the force sent him flying. He hit the ground hard, ribs aching. Jason coughed but stood up. "Is this your idea of flirting?" he muttered. Valasha laughed, a deep, wild sound. "Still joking? Good, I haven't broken you yet." They clashed again. Fist against metal, skin against steel. Jason used speed, brain, and timing. He was smaller, weaker, but smarter. He tricked her, sidestepped her lunges, slid under her kicks, climbed a pillar and leapt down with a tackle that made the crowd scream in surprise. For the first time, Valasha bled, a scratch across her cheek. She touched it, smiled, and her eyes glowed with fire. "Now it's real," she said. They fought for 7 more minutes. Each second felt like war. Jason's body was bruised, one eye swelling, his arm shaking, but he never gave up. Then, a sound, a child's scream. Everyone turned. A small alien child had somehow climbed down into the arena, chasing a fallen toy. Now she was frozen, right between Jason and Valasha. "Move!" Valasha shouted. "Get her out!" Too late. Valasha's momentum carried her forward. Her spear, already flying. Jason didn't think. He ran. Faster than he ever had. He dove. Wrapped the child in his arms, spun his back to the spear. Thwack! The spear grazed his side, cutting deep. Blood sprayed. The crowd gasped. The child cried. Jason collapsed to one knee, shielding her. Valasha stood frozen. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Then slowly, she walked over. Jason looked up, blood on his lip. "She okay?" Valasha knelt. "She's safe, because of you." She turned to the crowd, lifted Jason's arm and shouted, "He passes!" The arena exploded in cheers. Valasha leaned close and whispered in his ear, "I was going to beat you, but now I can't. Not because you fought well, but because you protected someone weaker. That's real strength." Jason smiled weakly. "Does this mean you like me now?" She chuckled. "Don't push your luck, human." As guards rushed in to tend his wounds, Jason looked up at the Velnaran sky and thought, 2 sisters down. 1 to go, but the last one, the quiet one. Alari didn't want blood, she wanted his soul. Jason woke up in a room made of soft white light. There were no doors, no windows, no noise, just silence. He sat up slowly. His body still hurt from the arena, but this place felt peaceful. Suddenly, a gentle voice echoed from the air. "You have fought. You have thought. Now, you must feel." It was Ilari, the quietest of the sisters. Jason looked around. "Where are you?" A swirl of soft blue mist formed in front of him. From it stepped Ilari, barefoot, her long silver, hair flowing like water. She looked calm, sad, strange. "This is not a trial of strength or logic," she said. "This is the trial of empathy." You will walk the memories of someone you care about. Jason frowned. What does that mean? Hilary touched his forehead. In a blink, the world changed. Memory. 1. Zalari's fear. Jason stood in a dark corridor. A young alien girl, Zalari, sat in a corner, crying quietly. Her crown was cracked. Her wings were broken. He stepped closer. Zalari? She didn't see him. He was only a ghost here. She whispered to herself. They all expect me to lead, but I'm not strong like Valasha. Not smart like Valana. I'm just pretty. Jason's chest tightened. She wiped her tears and whispered, I just want someone to love me. For me. The memory faded. Memory 2. Valasha's burden now. Jason stood in a military tent. Valasha knelt alone, her armor covered in blood. Around her were holograms of fallen soldiers. She whispered, I protect them all. But who protects me? She reached for a picture. Zalari as a child, hugging her. I can't break. I must never break. Jason felt her pain. The strength was real, but so was the loneliness. Memory 3. Valana's secret. Jason appeared in a cold lab. Valana stood over a dying alien child, her hands shaking. I have the cure, she whispered. But the council said no. Too expensive, not worth it, she cried silently. What is the point of knowledge, and if I can't save even one life? Memory 4. Hilari's truth. Finally, Jason stood in a quiet garden under starlight. Young Hilary sat on a stone bench staring at the sky. I hear everyone, she whispered. Their thoughts, their dreams, their pain. She touched her chest. But no one ever asks what I feel. Then she looked up, directly at Jason. He stepped back. Wait, you can see me? She smiled gently. This memory is not just from the past. It's now. Suddenly, Jason was back in the white room. Hilary stood in front of him again. You have seen our hearts, she said. Now answer this, Jason Hale. Can you love someone fully when you truly know their pain? Jason was quiet. Then he stepped forward and held her hand. Yes, not in spite of it, but because of it. Hilary's eyes glowed softly. She smiled, the first real smile he had seen from her. You pass, she whispered. You are not just a warrior, not just a mind. You are a soul. Later that night, Jason sat alone in the garden thinking. He had passed all 3 trials, but something was changing. He had come to marry one woman. Now, he understood all 4, and he was afraid, not of them, but of what he might have to give. His heart, his future, his loyalty. He whispered into the night sky. What happens now? From the shadows, Queen Valari stepped forward. Now, human, she said, you choose. The night sky over Velnara shimmered with twin moons and floating lights. In the royal garden, torches flickered and alien flowers released glowing pollen into the air. Jason stood alone by a silver fountain. His wounds had healed. His mind had survived the trials, but his heart was still unsure. Footsteps approached, gentle, familiar. It was Zalari. She walked quietly, wearing a soft gown made of starlight threads. Her hair was braided in Velnaran tradition, a symbol of choice. Jason turned to her. You're alone. She nodded. They gave me 1 hour. Just us, no guards, no sisters, no rules. He looked at her closely. She seemed different, not a princess, just a woman, nervous and brave. Jason took a breath. Zalari, I came here because I wanted you. You, not a treaty, not a crown, not your sisters. Zalari looked down. And now? He hesitated. Now, I respect them. I admire them. But I still only love you. Silence. The fountain bubbled quietly. Solari's hand shook. Her voice broke. Then you must understand, and if you love me alone, you destroy everything. Jason stepped closer. Why? Why can't I choose just you? Solari looked up, eyes wet. Because, on Velnara, our bond is one. If one sister is rejected, it is dishonor. It tears our family. And it tears our people. Jason clenched his jaw. So either I marry all of you, or I lose you. She didn't answer with words. She only nodded. Slowly, he whispered, That's not fair. I know, she said softly. But it's our way. Our soul bond is sacred. You proved yourself. They all accepted you. But now comes the hardest part. Will you accept them? Jason sat on the fountain's edge, head in his hands. Velasha is fire. Valana is mind. Ilari is stars. I understand them. But love? I don't know if I can love more than one woman. Solari came beside him, sat close. Then look at me now. If I tell you to walk away, will you leave? Jason looked at her. If you asked me to? Yes, I would. She closed her eyes. That's why it hurts. He waited. Let the silence. Hold them. Then asked, Do you want me to walk away? Zilari whispered, No. Tears rolled down her cheek. But if you choose only me, everything breaks. The peace, the crown, my family. Jason stood, pacing. This is not marriage. This is politics. Zilari stood too. This is our reality. Love cannot be selfish here. It must be shared, or it must die. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the garden. Velasha stepped from the shadows. Then maybe, it's time we choose too. Behind her came Valana, calm, as ever. And Ilari, floating silently behind them like a ghost. Jason turned. You were listening? Velasha crossed her arms. We were feeling. Ilari knew your heart was breaking. Valana spoke. We have argued, yes, fought. But we all agree on one thing now. Ilari stepped forward, placed a glowing orb in Jason's hand. We do not wish to take your heart by force. We only ask, can you grow it for us all? Jason looked at them, all of them, so different, so powerful, so vulnerable. He whispered, This isn't what I planned. I came for one woman. Velasha smirked. Then take 4 and surprise the stars. Jason laughed, one hand on his face. You're insane. Solari stepped forward. But you're still here. Jason looked up. What happens if I say yes? Valana answered. Then we become more than wives. We become your shield, your sword, your storm. Jason looked at each one of them, then down at the orb glowing in his hand. I need time, he said. Solari nodded. You have till dawn. As they turned and left, Jason was alone again. But now, his heart beat louder than ever. He whispered to the wind, I passed the trials, but am I ready for the bond? The stars didn't answer, but something else did, the sound of a distant scream. The royal palace of Velnara was glowing with golden light. It floated above the clouds like a temple of stars. Inside, thousands of guests from across the galaxy had arrived. Leaders, generals, merchants, and even outlaws had come to witness history. Today was the day a human would marry 4 alien princesses. Jason Hale stood in the inner chamber, wearing ceremonial robes stitched with stardust thread. His breath was heavy. His hands trembled slightly. He had made his choice. After trials of strength, mind, and heart, after facing pain, fear, and truth, he had finally said the words, Yes, I will marry them all. But deep inside, something felt wrong. The palace was too quiet, the skies too calm. And Ilari, the most sensitive of the sisters, had whispered to him only one thing before the ceremony began. I feel danger in the air. In the grand hall, 4 thrones stood side by side. The princesses arrived, dressed in glowing fabrics that changed color with each emotion. Their crowns pulsed with ancient power. Zalari looked at Jason across the hall and smiled gently. Valasha stood like a proud warrior, her hand on the hilt of her ceremonial blade. Valana watched everything, her eyes scanning like a machine. And Aelari. She looked distant, focused. Queen Valari raised her hands. Let the bonding ceremony begin. The hall cheered. Jason stepped forward. He raised the crystal orb, the symbol of unity. I, Jason Hale, offer myself not to one, but to all 4 daughters of Velnara, mind, body, and spirit. The crowd roared again. Drones captured every moment, streaming it across hundreds of systems. The galaxy watched. Valasha placed her hand on his. I give you my strength. Valana followed. I give you my wisdom. Aelari whispered. I give you my soul. Zalari smiled. And I give you my heart. The orb began to glow bright white. The air shook. Suddenly, the light shattered. An explosion rocked the hall. Smoke burst from the balcony. Screams filled the chamber. Jason spun around as shadows dropped from above. Masked assassins. Protect the queens, Valasha shouted, drawing her sword instantly. Valana activated energy shields around her sisters. Aelari raised a wall of sound that disoriented the attackers, but the assassins were prepared. Their weapons were built to kill royals. Jason saw one aiming a bolt gun at Zalari. Time slowed. He ran. The shot fired. Jason leapt, took the hit in his shoulder, fell hard, bleeding. The blast knocked Zalari back, but she was unharmed. Valasha cut down 2 attackers in a flash. Valana overloaded their tech with a brain pulse hack, but one assassin remained, the leader. A tall figure in black with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. He stepped forward, aiming his cannon at all 4 sisters. He spoke in a deep voice. The Velnaran line must end. The galaxy belongs to war, not peace. Jason coughed, bleeding badly, but stood. Over my dead body. The assassin laughed. Exactly. He fired. But before the bolt could reach the sisters, Aelari screamed. A shockwave of pure emotion blasted outward, slamming the assassin into the ceiling. Valasha jumped, sword first, and drove it through his chest. Silence fell. The threat was over. Minutes later, the hall was secured. The dead were removed. Guards scanned every corner. Jason lay on the floor, weak but alive. His wound was serious. The sisters stood over him. You saved her, Valasha said, wiping blood from her armor. You saved all of us, Valana added, touching his wound with a glowing healing pad. Aelari knelt beside him, her voice soft. You did not run, even when you were broken. Zalari cried silently. You gave your life to protect what you love. Jason smiled faintly. That's what husbands do, right? The queen stepped forward. Her voice shook with emotion. You were tested by mind, by body, by soul, and now by blood. She looked at the crowd, her voice rising. Let the ceremony continue. The second attempt began. This time no lights were shattered, no bombs, no screams, only peace. Jason stood between his 4 brides, their hands joined. The orb glowed once more. Pure golden light. In that moment, a new bond was made. Not just between Jason and the princesses, but between Earth and Velnara. Between war and peace. 1 year later, Jason stood at the top balcony of the Velnaran palace. He wore armor now, not for war, but for respect. Valasha trained soldiers below. Valana gave lectures to off-world leaders. Aelari guided orphan children through music and memory. And Zalari? She stood beside Jason, holding his hand. A soft glow in her belly showed the start of new life. Jason smiled. Did you ever imagine this? Zalari laughed. Not even in dreams. He kissed her forehead. You were worth every trial. She smiled back. And now the galaxy will never forget your answer. Jason looked out at the stars. He came for peace. He found love, he earned loyalty, and he built something no human ever had before, a home among stars, with 4 alien queens by his side.